The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
What happens when you take an icon beloved by generations of women and give it the modern Hollywood treatment? You get the Barbie movie, and wow, is it mean-spirited fun. But before I get into the review, just a little context. I took my mom to see this. Her name's Barbie, she's as old as the doll, she loves Barbie, so I took her to see this movie, and we both regretted it. It's one of those movies, the agenda movies, the ones that beat you over the head with a really messed up message. The kind of movie the internet loves, but then general audiences go and see it and they realize it's a mistake midway through the opening credits. The Barbie movie is many things, but good is not one of them. I'd question a person's intelligence if they told you this was the best movie they've seen. I'd question a person's values if they told you this film was powerful. I'd question a person's sanity if they recommended this film to you. The Barbie movie is the distant cousin of Ghostbusters 2016. It's a movie that's so focused on the message, it misses the point on telling a coherent story. It shoehorns its only meaningful message, which we'll talk about later, in the last 5 minutes of the film. The rest of the runtime is a terribly unfunny, message-driven story, masquerading around as a family film. It's not. It's very anti-family. Well, it's pro-family, just the kind without a dad. Of course, this is a movie where every guy is a douchebag and every woman is a justified jerk. It's like every other crappy feminist film. But it has a lot of money behind the marketing. The marketing for this film is a brilliant lie. From the outside, it looks like a parody of Barbie and the outdated stereotypes associated with the doll. But in reality, it's a vapid statement on why men are bad and they're unnecessary. In this film, men are an accessory who shouldn't be allowed to vote. Yeah, that's in this movie. They're dancers, they're cheerleaders, and they're mostly effeminate. The message here is so thick that plus-sized Barbie would make fun of it. There's literally a book called The Patriarchy, and that's what guides Ken into becoming the villain of the story. Yes, Ken is the bad guy. He's the villain because he's a man. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This was just the opening, but there's a lot to say about this movie based on an inanimate object. The film is directed by Greta Gerwig. For those who don't know Greta Gerwig, you're not missing much. She's like if Phoebe Waller-Bridge was a director. All of these writers and filmmakers are the same. They're like Malibu Stacy's. Same basic premise, different hat.
She's got a new hat.
Greta Gerwig has 5 films under her belt as director. Well, 4 films and a music video. Barbie is bound to be her biggest hit because of the branding and marketing behind the film. She's attached to next year's Snow White, and that's going to be a big hit for Disney, right? Well, I haven't seen any of the live-action remakes, and I'm not going to start anytime soon. Visually is where the Barbie movie really shines. It's shot well, it looks fine, and the art direction comes straight out of a Pink Nightmare. It's Barbie through and through. As an artist myself, it's the only part of the film that sparked any interest. The set design is a real winner. Barbie's world looks like it's ripped out of a toy catalog. The clothes, the cars, the dream house all look like the toys come to life. In this department, Barbie was a winner. Everywhere else, no ma'am. The characters in Barbie are as deep as the Barbie dolls are in real life. They all live in Barbie Land, a female utopia where Kens exist for one reason, to be noticed by Barbie. It's the first of many messed up messages. Women can be anything, but only men exist to be noticed by women. Of course, this is the filmmaker's attempt at social commentary, but it just comes off as sad and petty. After we're introduced to the perfect Barbies, stereotypical Barbie, Margot Robbie, randomly questions death. This startles her and stops the festivities of her perfect life. This starts Barbie spiraling. The next day, she wakes up and her morning isn't perfect. Her shower is too cold, she burns her waffle, and the milk has gone bad. You know, the first world problems that really affect society. From there, Barbie's feet go flat, and the rest of Barbie's freak out in one of the most annoying scenes ever put to film. After what feels like an eternity of fake vomiting, Barbie goes to see Weird Barbie, Kate McKinnon, and that's where she learns about the real world, and the only way to fix herself is to fix her owner. So, Barbie, with her accessory Ken, travel to the real world of Los Angeles to find Barbie's human. There they get arrested for stealing clothes, but are let go because Barbie is so pretty. Great message to teach kids, right? If you're pretty, you can get away with anything. It's called the halo effect, where people attribute positive traits because something is attractive. It's a real thing the filmmakers would like you to ignore. After another arrest, which they are released for the same reason, they, Barbie and Ken, have a fight where Barbie essentially calls Ken useless, but Ken is too stupid to notice. Afterwards, Barbie and Ken head to a school where they separate. Barbie looks for her human, Ken goes on a quest for knowledge. Barbie approaches her human, a tween with a shitty attitude. This gets her taken away by the FBI. Meanwhile, Ken finds a book called The Patriarchy, which he takes back to Barbie Land. While in custody, Barbie is taken to Mattel headquarters. There we meet Will Ferrell and his board. This board is composed of men, and they spout lines about how they love women, how great women are, and how they know what's best for women. It's meant to be a joke, but it's too on the nose to be anything but obnoxious. After Barbie tricks them into letting her use the restroom, she escapes only to be rescued by America Ferrera's character. A car chase ensues. We learn that America Ferrera is the mother of the unlikable girl and that Barbie was sent for her, not her daughter. After that incredible twist is established, Barbie takes them back to Barbie Land, except this time it's the Kendom. From his Mojo Dojo Casa house, which was formerly Barbie's dream house, we learn that Ken has taken his knowledge of the real world and turned all the Barbies into submissive servants for men. The film beats the message over the audience's head so hard the concern of CTE is real. The movie was already terrible, but somehow it gets worse. Men are the villain of this story. According to the film, men are the villains of the real world and women are innocent victims of the patriarchy. The word patriarchy is used so much in Barbie that if you played a drinking game, you'd probably die by the end of the second act. After learning what happened to Barbie Land, Barbie becomes depressed and tries to give up. America Ferrera's character won't let this happen and she devises a plan to take back Barbie Land. The plan is to seduce the Kens and then cheat on them, which sends them off to war with each other. They're so distracted they can't vote on a bill that they try to pass to make the Kens the ruler of Barbie Land. After the battle, which is a dance number in pink socks, the Kens realize they were tricked and the Barbies take back control of Barbie Land. What's the message here? Is being a see you next Tuesday the message of Barbie? It sure seems like it. The film glorifies pretty shitty behavior, but it's okay, they're women. Women in the past suffered, so the women of today can be assholes. Great job, Greta. Sadly, the suffering doesn't end here. After the Kens submit to the Barbies, we then watch Barbie tell Ken she doesn't love him, and then she leaves Barbie Land with an old woman who is revealed to be the creator of Barbie, Ruth Handler. After a meeting with her god, Barbie decides to become human. We then see Barbie dropped off in downtown LA, on what looks like her first day of the job, but in fact, she's at her gynecologist's office. The end. The Barbie movie wants to be an enlightened take on feminism, but the movie is so full of itself that it misses the mark by a country mile. What is the message of this movie? It's a layered answer. It's one part commentary on what it is to be a woman, it's one part commentary on why men are terrible, and it's one part a message about how men ruin society. In the Barbie movie, the only good man is the weak one, played by Michael Cera. A lot of people want to shun men's criticisms of this film, but is that a legitimate angle to take? Isn't it dangerous to restrict people's views? It feels like anything pro-female has to be blindly praised, but what if the shoe is on the other foot? Why is it that every film that appeals to men or general audiences has to be neutered? Why is masculinity bad? The same people who champion for Barbie are the ones who want James Bond to be a woman. If they critique the films of the past for including such unrealistic aesthetic beauty and worldviews, how come they do the same thing when they're in control? It's not like these people want equality, they want supremacy. It's crazy that a Barbie movie is full of this stuff, all while being full of something else. Barbie is tracking to make big bank this weekend, and with enough money for marketing, most movies can do the same thing. While the Barbtards will try to compare this to Indiana Jones or other male-led franchises, the real litmus test is Super Mario. That's an actual family film. The media wants to present Barbie as a family film that little girls should see. It's full of stuff that kids shouldn't have to suffer through. A lot of it will go over their heads, and the rest is pretty shallow. It features messages that aren't really healthy for anyone. It teaches that it's okay to use beauty to dupe men into gaining power. Women are superior just because, and after the hype dies down, people will hopefully see how thin the story is. This film never really shows that Barbies earn anything. They're just told they're great and agree because they're women. They have nothing going on upstairs. No moral conviction, no drive, no dedication. They're just vapid dolls used as stand-ins for a message about the real world. But that message isn't very well thought out. Films about strong women aren't rare at all. Something as basic as Wonder Woman got a lot of the same feminist marketing, but the movie was more about humanity and how men and women deal with the tragedies of war, love, and other universal messages. That movie wasn't pointed like Barbie. It was directed by a woman and appealed to everyone. More films that can unite instead of divide are what the world needs right now. The biggest problem with this movie is once the Barbie film makes money, Hollywood will once again chase the feminism dollars and we will get more films like Barbie and Ghostbusters 2016. Barbie is a recognizable brand that has been around for 64 years. That's why it's got this amount of attention. Depending on where the film plays, you may hear different theater results. In the Midwest where I saw it, the audience was mostly silent. A few jokes landed, but the theater rarely had a laugh-out-loud moment. I moved away from LA a few months ago, and the movie definitely would have had louder responses there. It leans heavily to the left. This movie wears its politics on its sleeve. The fact of the matter is, not all little girls who grew up with Barbie burned their bras in the 70s, wore Birkenstocks in the 90s, or shaved their heads today. Millions of people just wanted to see a movie about their favorite childhood toy, and for those who don't vote a certain way, they're gonna go home very disappointed. Obviously, anyone who didn't like this movie will be labeled as an incel or a misogynist, but that's not the case. Some of us are just mad they wasted $22 on this trash. However, as a personal aside, spending time with my mom is too valuable to put a price tag on. While I hated this movie, and yes, hate is the apt word here, so did she. At one point, my mom did lean over and ask, "Who wrote this, Kathleen Kennedy?" Of course, Mom doesn't know Kathleen Kennedy isn't a writer, but she saw those new Star Wars movies too, and that was her takeaway. It's not just men who notice these things, it's not always the men criticizing these elements either. When a woman who has worked her entire adult life, paid off a house, and raised a kid on her own calls out Barbie, you know something is off. Next weekend is a pretty light weekend, so expect Barbie's box office dominance to continue. But make no mistake, Barbie was a one-and-done event. Once word of mouth spreads, name-calling won't be enough to save Barbie's honor. Hopefully Mattel's other films aren't this pointed. Hot Wheels will probably be next, and I'm sure it'll be like Herbie the Love Bug, but with a girl who has a bad attitude. Let's end this video in a way that I've never done before, with a message to my mom. Mom, you sat through a lot of movies over the years. The original Super Mario Bros., the Power Rangers, and dozens more. Thank you. I was happy to take you to see this one, but my God, was it terrible. However, it did make us closer, because now you know what it feels like to be a Star Wars fan. So folks, thank you for watching. I'm sure you've heard a lot of things about the Barbie movie, but that's the official WCBS take here. And remember, the WC in WCBS stands for World Class. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button, share this video all over, and let's spread the word about what the Barbie movie's really like. I didn't even have to use the dreaded W word, and I won't even say it in this video to keep that trend rolling, but you know what kind of movie it is within the first 5 minutes. And well, it wasn't very good. So folks, I'll be back next time with more. We have a lot of content coming out this week, so make sure you don't miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. But in the meantime, folks, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. Men and women alike, be excellent to each other. Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters. And there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters, because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here, and well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.